Unbelievable transformation, Black nurse shows incredible strength after chokehold husbands won. Nia stood at the edge of the crowd, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The shouts for justice echoed through the air, pulsing with the energy of 100 voices demanding change. She was not just a nurse today, she was a mother, a daughter, and a warrior. Every day, she fought battles within the walls of the hospital, but today was different. Today the battle was in the streets. As she raised her sign, a mix of fear and fierce determination washed over her. This was her moment to be seen. With each chant for justice, memories flooded her mind. Her kids, energized, running through the park, laughter echoing, a stark contrast to the harsh realities of a life marked by struggle. And her father, his wise eyes telling stories of resilience as he recalled a world that felt so different. Nia felt that weight in her heart. Her family needed her strength, but the world demanded more. The crowd surged forward, and suddenly, the energy shifted. A voice in the back broke through her thoughts. "Get the hell out." It wasn't just loud, it felt laced with danger. Nia's breath hitched as chaos erupted, pushing her and others into a frenzy. Instinct kicked in, she shielded her face as a hand grabbed her collar from behind. Terror clawed at her throat, tightening every muscle. In an instant, she remembered the chokehold she'd seen on the news, horror stories that haunted her dreams, and now she was in one. Darkness danced at the edges of her vision as she fought to breathe, pain blurring her thoughts. Just as swiftly as it began, the hold released her. She stumbled back, disoriented, finding solidarity in the worried faces of her neighbors, people she knew and loved. A simmering rage bubbled inside her, a potent mix of fear and relentless hope, and without thinking, she shouted, "We won!" To be silenced. That moment ignited something deep within her. Back home, the world seemed just as heavy. Marcus eyed her warily, the tension thick. He'd fought his own battles overseas, but nothing prepared him for this. The air was charged with unspoken words and hurt. Nia felt his pain radiating like heat from an open flame. They used to be a team, but now it felt like they were on opposite sides. She could sense his fear of losing her, fear of facing their demons while she fought her own battle, the memories of the night crashing over her like waves. Yet, in their tight-knit neighborhood, hope was alive. Fundraisers popped up like wildflowers, and conversations about justice and healing filled the streets. Nia felt the community rally around her, their voices a chorus of resilience. That buzz led her to a pivotal meeting, a chance to not just share her story but confront the truths no one wanted to acknowledge. As she stood at the microphone, the room fell silent. With a tight chest but unwavering resolve, she spoke not just of her pain but of the strength that came from forgiveness. The crowd was spellbound, their breath hitching as she shared her journey. In a fraught moment, just as Nia felt the power of unity, Marcus walked in, his eyes searching. Unspoken words hung heavily between them, swirling with unresolved fears. Could forgiveness mend their hearts? Could love be reborn amid so much pain? The future flickered like a candle in the wind, casting shadows on what would become their reality. The crowd held their breath, and so did Nia, feeling the weight of her past and the promise of her future all at once. Nia's heart raced as she locked eyes with Marcus. The world faded, it was just them, two souls entangled in a moment thick with emotion. Sweat trickled down her back, but the heat was nothing compared to the pressure building in the room. Marcus's face reflected confusion and concern, merging into a portrait of pain she recognized all too well. As she spoke about her experience, the words flowed out in waves. "I feel like I'm drowning," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But I'm still fighting." The truth hung there, unfiltered, and for a heartbeat, she could feel the weight of it pressing against the air. She glanced back at the crowd, eyes wide, soaking it all in. Would they understand? "Don't let the fear win." Someone shouted from the back, and the room erupted into applause. But all Nia could focus on were Marcus's eyes, dark and stormy, searching for something she wasn't sure she could provide. After the meeting, Nia found herself standing outside in the cool evening air. It felt surreal, almost like she was floating. The cheers echoed in her heart, but she was still tethered to that moment inside, where Marcus stood holding a million unsaid words in his gaze. "Nia," he whispered, stepping closer, the space between them charged. I didn't know it was this bad. Why didn't you tell me?" The pain in his voice cut deep, and she shook her head. "I didn't want to burden you. You already have so much to deal with." "Burden? Nia, we're supposed to handle things together. I thought I lost you tonight." In the distance, they could still hear laughter and chants, a reminder of the brotherhood and sisterhood blooming, but here, it felt like a fragile silence was settling over them. They were standing on the edge of a cliff, and neither knew how to step back. "What happened to you today? It shook me." "I was terrified," Marcus confessed, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. "Every time you go out there, I'm scared it will be the last time I see you." A tear slipped down Nia's cheek. "I'm scared, too. But we have to fight for our future, for our kids. I can't let fear silence me anymore." In a moment that felt like destiny, Marcus moved closer. "I want to fight with you if you'll let me. But I can't do this alone." "We can't." His gaze softened, vulnerability spilling into the space where tension once ruled. But after everything Nia started, hesitation creeping into her voice. Could they truly bridge the chasm built of hurt and misunderstanding? He took her hands, grounding them both. "No more walls. We can't change the past, but we can choose our next steps together. Let us be a team again." Nia felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Could they really rebuild? The warmth of his grasp seeped into her, chasing away the cold doubts hiding in the corners of her mind. The lights of the community rally sparkled in the distance, casting a glow through the darkness. With each cheer and shout from their neighbors, Nia felt stronger, as if the power of the entire crowd surged through her. It was a powerful reminder that she was never alone. "Let us go," she said softly, determination rising again. "We'll face this together." As they walked hand in hand, the energy of their community swelled around them, ready to embrace whatever came next. But just as they reached the edge of the crowd, Nia heard a sound that froze her in her tracks, a low thud, followed by screams. She whipped around, heart pounding as a dark figure emerged from the shadows. What now? Nia thought, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. Nia's breath caught in her throat. The dark figure stepped forward, illuminated momentarily by the flickering rally lights. It was a man, wide shoulders draped in a heavy coat, his face obscured. Panic washed over the crowd as people shouted and backed away, confusion mingling with fear. "Everyone, step back. It's not safe." Marcus yelled, his protective instincts kicking in as he moved closer to Nia. She felt the warmth of his presence against the chill of the night but couldn't shake off the shiver of uncertainty swimming inside her. "What do you want?" Nia shouted, her voice trying to remain steady despite her racing heart. The man's lips barely moved, but she could see his expression shift from aggression to something more complex, perhaps desperation. He clenched his fists, his breath heavy as it clouded in the night air. "Please," he finally spoke, his voice gravelly, "I'm not here to hurt anyone." His eyes met Nia's and something familiar flickered there, a shared burden, a kind knowing of hardship and struggle. Questions piled up in Nia's mind. Who was he? Why had he made that noise? With the crowd murmuring behind her, she glanced at Marcus, who stood ready, blocking any path to her. "What do you want?" Marcus demanded again, voice low but fierce. I need help," the man exclaimed, stepping closer, and chaos erupted again. A few brave souls from the crowd shouted back, urging him to leave, to back off. But Nia, her instincts sharp, took a step toward him, not ready to let fear dictate her actions. "What kind of help?" she asked, her tone softer now, pushing through the shouting voices around her. "Look," he said, his voice breaking, "I've been watching you all. I've seen your fight. I've been caught in my own struggles lately, it's been getting worse." His face crumpled, showing lines that etched stories of pain. Nia could sense the raw truth in his words, a recognition of the fight they all shared. Here, right now, they were united by different battles but similar scars. "You can trust me," he added, drawing a shaky breath. I'm not a criminal. I lost my job. I have kids who, they need me. I can't protect them like I used to." A tinge of grief filled his eyes, and in that moment, Nia felt her defenses crumbling, but another part of her urged caution. "Why should we trust you? You can't just show up like this." Marcus interjected, still firm. Nia squeezed Marcus's hand. "Just let him speak. Maybe he's not the threat we think he is." Before she could finish, the man suddenly pointed to the chaos unfolding further down the street. A shop was being vandalized as people grew restless. "I know those people," he said urgently. "I might be down on my luck, but I'm not a coward. I can help." Now, the crowd's atmosphere shifted, drawn into a collective sense of curiosity. Would this stranger become part of their fight, or another layer of conflict? As the rally dwindled, they all felt the weight of his plea. Nia sensed a turning point, something that could either bring light or darkness. "Let us say we believe you," Nia said, her voice steady. "What can you do?" Just then, the sound of sirens cut through the tension like a knife, red and blue lights flashing in the distance. Would they have time to discover the truth before another storm descended upon them? The man's eyes widened, but there was a spark of determination in his posture. "I can help you, you just have to let me in." Would Nia and Marcus take a leap of faith once more, or would they let fear pull them apart? As the sirens echoed closer, she could feel the choice looming large, hovering over them like a dark cloud ready to burst. What lay ahead was unpredictable, a leap into a new battle or an embrace of a potential ally. For them all, the decision could change everything. Nia's heart raced as the sirens grew louder, each wail slicing through the uncertainty hanging in the air. She instinctively turned to Marcus, whose jaw was set tight, his eyes narrowed with protective instincts. But she could feel the weight of the moment shifting. The man standing before them, this unexpected plea for help, reminded her of her own vulnerabilities, of the cracks that ran beneath the surface. This wasn't about just him, it was about all of them. "Listen," Nia said, her voice rising above the cacophony, "the police are coming. We don't have much time to decide. We can't let them take him just for being here." She could see doubt still flickering in Marcus's eyes, but there was something else too, a growing sense of possibility. The man looked back at the crowd, nervous but resolute. "You're right. I don't deserve your trust, but I swear I can help," he pleaded, his wide stance rooted as if tethering himself to their collective anxiety. "If I get arrested, my kids won't have anyone. None of you want that, do you? We're fighting the same fight." The crowd was silent, tension hanging like a thick fog. Murmurs began, and though they were whispers, the undertone was electric. Nia sensed the community's unease start to fracture, sympathy broke through their initial fright. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" one woman yelled from the back, her voice sharp but laced with concern. "Because I thought I could handle it alone," the man responded, his voice laced with regret. "I thought I could protect my family. But 2 jobs and late nights, it's too much. I'm here because I believe in what you are doing. I need to be part of it." His eyes darted toward the street, toward the chaos of the vandalism. It was a sight they all felt, angry, scared, but also hopeful. Every one of them wanted change, but the path felt full of obstacles. "Why do we keep fighting then?" Nia asked quietly, letting the question linger. "If we don't support each other, what chance do we have?" She glanced at Marcus, who hesitated, an internal battle evident on his face. Finally, he looked at Nia, searching her eyes for answers, for reassurance. "You really believe he can help?" Fear laced his words, but there was an ember of trust starting to glow. Nia took a deep breath. "Yes, I do. Just because he is struggling doesn't mean he can't fight with us. We don't have to bear our burdens alone." The man stepped forward, eyes glistening with a newfound determination. I can rally people to help divert attention from here. I can bring them together, the workers in my neighborhood, the ones who need this just as badly as you do. But only if you promise to give me a chance. As Nia absorbed the risk and hope in his offer, distant clamor intensified. More sirens joined the chorus. Time was running short. With every heartbeat, she could feel the collective anxiety growing around them. Okay, she said, her voice breaking through the noise, let us do it. Marcus tensed at first but then slowly nodded in agreement. Let us give him a chance. Just then, a booming voice echoed through the night, announcing an approaching police unit. All of you, stay where you are. Panic rippled through the crowd. Nia felt her stomach drop. They couldn't let this moment slip away. Move! She shouted suddenly, urgency sparking her voice as she looked at the man beside her. We need to act. As they turned, ready to take a leap into the unknown, Nia realized they were all facing a choice. It was more than a chance to fight. It was a chance to transform. Could they merge their struggles and emerge stronger? Or would they fall apart under the pressure? The sirens were closing in, but for the first time that night, hope flickered brightly amid the chaos. What awaited them on the other side of this decision could change everything for their community. Would it be a path of redemption or despair? As Nia and the man sprinted into the shadows of the alley, the sirens blaring behind them seemed to grow louder, echoing the pulse of her racing heart. She felt strong hands grab her shoulder. Marcus had followed, his expression a mix of fear and determination. Where do we go? He panted, adrenaline surging through his body. The crowd was a distant buzz now, more fragmented voices consumed by their own decisions, some fleeing, others frozen in place. Anywhere but here, Nia replied, her voice unwavering despite the chaos. We need to find a place to regroup, to think. With a nod, they slipped deeper into the alleyway, moving swiftly around crumbling brick walls and discarded crates. Every step felt heavy with the weight of the choices they had made in a matter of moments. The man turned to them, panting hard, yet his eyes sparkled with fervor. I know a place. A community center a few blocks down. If we can rally there, we might stand a chance. Marcus, still catching his breath, hesitated. What if it's too late? His voice quavered, the fight in him clearly battling against the fear of the unknown. Nia shook her head, pushing back her own doubts. We can't think like that. We have to believe this will work. The intensity of the situation ignited something within her. A sense of purpose clawed its way to the surface. They had a chance, perhaps not just for themselves, but for everyone who felt alone in their struggles. The man led the way, and Nia could feel the tension slowly ebbing from the corners of the alley, replaced by a flicker of camaraderie with each step. The sirens continued but were now mere background noise, replaced by the sound of feet moving, hearts racing, and breath mingling in the cold night air. As they reached the entrance of the community center, the door swung wide open, illuminated by an orange glow. A handful of faces looked up, startled but curious. People who had come to seek shelter, to find solace. The energy shifted, a spark igniting in the air. Everyone, listen. The man shouted, his voice rising above the quiet murmur. We need your help. The police are out there, but together we can divert their attention. We can build something powerful here. Nia looked around. Hope glimmered in the eyes of people she'd known all her life, their shared struggles painted across their faces. The fear wasn't gone, but a spirit of resilience took root in its place. As they huddled close, Nia could sense the community drawing strength from each other. Ideas flowed like water from the tap, a river of inspiration and passion. They brainstormed ways to share their message, to uplift one another. It felt infectious. This was more than just a plan, it was a movement, a wave of rebirth that washed over them. As Nia stepped back to take it all in, a smile crept onto her face. She felt more alive than ever. But just as the atmosphere began to hum with potential, a loud crash echoed from outside, cutting through the whispers of resolve. They all froze. The sirens were growing louder again. Shadows loomed closer, and Nia's heart dropped. The moment of truth was upon them. Stay together. Someone shouted, but the moment was fragile, and anxiety seeped back into the gathering. Nia felt the hands of her newfound allies hold tightly on her arms. She knew something big was about to unfold. Would they stand united, facing the overwhelming storm together? Or would fear splinter them apart at the last moment? As the door rattled in its frame, Nia took a deep breath, ready to face whatever was to come. Yet doubt flickered in her mind. What price would they have to pay to truly transform? The door shook violently, the force of the blows rattling the souls inside. Nia's heart thundered as she felt the grip of her allies tighten. Fear mingled with resolve, spiraling in a symphony of anticipation. The man who had led them here stepped forward, face steady despite the chaos brewing outside. Stay calm, he urged, eyes sweeping the room. We need to show them we're not afraid. This isn't just about us. It's about everyone out there. His voice had a steady cadence that inspired trust, cutting through the alarm that threatened to fracture the moment. Nia looked around. She could see the anxiety etched on the faces of those gathered, but there was also something brighter, a flicker that suggested a willingness to fight back. She stepped up, feeling the weight of the room shift as eyes turned toward her. It's true, she started, brows furrowing as she searched for the right words. They want us to be scared, to hide. But look around. Look at who we are together. This is our power. The murmur of agreement started small, growing as more people found their voices. Someone shouted out, we're stronger than they think. The simple truth rolled through the crowd, igniting momentum. Nia could feel a wave of energy pooling around them as hands gripped one another tighter, a chain of solidarity forming just as the door rattled again. Are we gonna let them walk all over us? Marcus shouted, his voice filled with intensity. The air thickened with desperation and hope, and all Nia could do was nod fiercely. No, the crowd echoed back, a drumbeat in unison. As the din outside escalated, the tension in their makeshift fortress coiled like a spring. Nia took a breath, steadying herself. She felt a creeping certainty creeping into her heart. What if we show them we're united? What if we make this a stand? Another crash reverberated through the door, and she knew the time had come. This wasn't just about resisting, it was about embracing what it meant to really belong. Let us create something beautiful. She called out, her voice rising above the chaos. Let us show them that we are a community that supports one another. The rallying cry struck a chord, igniting fierce shouts of agreement. A sense of unity surged through the room, energizing the air. Suddenly, the door swung open with a violent force, and harsh lights poured into the dimly lit room. Uniformed shadows loomed at the threshold, silhouetted by the blinding glare. Nia's breath hitched as the moment froze in time. Step back. One officer barked, eyes scanning the room, resting on Nia with an intensity that made her skin crawl. But just as fear threatened to sink its claws into her heart, she sensed the hands of others, resolute and unwavering. Enough! She exclaimed, stepping forward. It was reckless. Heart racing, she knew she was crossing a line but felt the surge of collective energy push her on. You want to intimidate us? You want fear? You're going to see strength instead. A moment of silence ensued, the officers stunned by her audacity. Nia could feel the gasps and whispers behind her. The people she had rallied stood at her back, allies forged in this chaotic storm. Who's with me? She shouted, the weight of 1,000 hearts making her voice ring out pure and strong. The collective response was thunderous, rippling through each and every one gathered. It wasn't just about their safety anymore. It was about their rights, their dignity, and their chance to reshape the world around them. But then, as the officers shifted, grasping at radios and bracing themselves, a new sound emerged from behind them. A car screeched to a halt, doors slamming open, voices yelling. Nia's heart raced. Had they help coming, or was it just more chaos on the horizon? Get ready. She called, and the weight of uncertainty was back, thick in the air. What kind of transformation would this moment bring? Would they shatter, or would they become something new amidst the wreckage? Nothing felt certain anymore as the next move loomed, brilliant yet terrifying. Any misstep could tip the balance. Would they rise together, or would they be pulled apart in the fallout? The crowd held its breath as the chaos outside shifted into a new, frenzied dimension. The car doors had barely closed when a surge of unexpected voices came crashing in. "Step aside." A familiar voice rang clear, cutting through the noise. And there she was, Sophie, Nia's longtime friend and former nurse, flanked by others in scrubs, marching straight toward the officers. Their bright uniforms contrasted sharply with the ominous shadows at the doorway. "What are you doing here?" Nia gasped, a mix of elation and despair flooding through her. Sophie's face was determined, eyes ablaze with resolve. "I couldn't just sit back and let you handle this alone. We're all in this together." The officers exchanged glances, uncertainty flickering. Nia watched as Sophie approached them, hands raised just enough to show she meant no harm. "We demand to be heard," she said, her voice steady as the waves that crashed against the shore. "This isn't just a stand for our safety, it's a stand for our humanity." Nia could feel the tension in the air like static electricity. The officers hesitated, caught off guard. Behind her, she sensed the people growing bolder, fueled by Sophie's presence. "What do we want?" someone shouted from the crowd. "Justice." They roared back, the word echoing off the walls like a battle cry reborn. Nia's heart swelled. They were more than just a group now, they had become a force. The emotions swirled together, pain and anger tinged with hope. They were not going to be silenced. "Let us keep moving forward." Nia called out, flipping her fear into courage. What started as fear is now strength. Show them we stand together, that we care for one another. As the crowd surged toward the doorway, the officers looked panicked. Nia saw one officer clutch his radio tighter, eyes darting nervously among his peers. "What should we do?" he muttered, the weight of authority crumbling with each passionate shout. Sophie continued to advance, determination radiating from her. "We won't let intimidation win today," she proclaimed. "We are the voices that demand to be recognized." Suddenly, another voice pierced through the din, one familiar but unexpected. "What the hell is going on here?" It was Marcus from earlier, his face fierce as he stepped forward. "We're not backing down. We stand united." The energy in the room felt electric. Conversations ignited, sparks of ideas thrown like firecrackers. "We need to create a dialogue," shouted one person, emboldened by the moment. "Show them our true power." Just as the moment seemed ready to unfold into collective action, a thunderous clap pierced the silence above. Rain began to pelt the roof like drumbeats, each droplet an echo of their collective heartbeat. It fused power and urgency, a call to action intertwined with nature itself. "Look! Even the sky knows we're here." Nia laughed, relief pouring through her. "Let us take this storm and use it to our advantage. We cannot be broken." Yet deep down, she sensed a chill creeping in, a realization that even united, they stood at the cliff's edge. What if the floodgate broke open? What if they were met with more force than they could handle? "Push forward," she cried, as they began to shift toward the light breaking in through the doorway, tempting but dangerous, and then, among the voices, one stood out, cold and commanding. "You're outnumbered. Turn back now." The officer's growl penetrated the charged atmosphere, creating a palpable tension. Standing at the forefront, a question hung thick in the air: could they truly challenge the authority before them, or would they be swept away in the tide of resistance? As the rain lashed against the ground for reprieve, hope aligned with trepidation. What would their next move be? Would their courage hold, or would they find themselves lost in a storm of chaos once again? "Step back!" shouted one of the officers, the frustration clear in his voice. The tension crackled like electricity, hanging heavy in the air. Nia could see the uncertainty flickering in the officer's eyes, a stark contrast to the fire burning in Sophie's. Together. Sophie's voice rang out again, a lifeline as she moved closer to the officers. The procession of healthcare workers stood firm beside her, a line of scrubs and hearts pulsing in unison. They were ready to plead, to fight, to shout against the oppressive silence. Nia felt the unity swell around her, each person pulsing with a shared purpose. It was like the rain outside, not a single drop would dare to fall alone. They were a storm, ready to wash away the lingering doubts and fears. Let us show them what we stand for. Marcus urged, rising above the murmur. This isn't just about us, it's about every person whose voice has been silenced. We're more than statistics. We're living, breathing people. The crowd roared in agreement, their chants echoing louder, a chorus reverberating off the walls. Justice. Humanity. Together. Nia's heart raced. The harmony of voices gave her courage, it felt like a mantle draped across her shoulders. She took a breath. We are not going to walk away from this. If they think we will leave quietly, they haven't met us. We will stand for every wronged soul, for every story that deserves to be heard. The officer's hardened expression faltered. The strength around Nia seemed to seep into her bones. She stepped forward alongside Sophie and Marcus, feeling the heartbeat of hundreds against her chest, unyielding. The crowd pressed forward, a wave rising toward the edge of the known. What do you want? The officer sneered, voice breaking through the momentum, laced with disbelief. We want to be treated as equals. One nurse in the back shouted, her voice soaring. It reverberated, igniting another round of chants. Equals. Equals. Nia could feel the energy shift, like a floodgate cracking open at the seams. With each pulse of the crowd, she sensed their determination building. Then someone else shouted from the back. Remember why we're here. Remember the faces. That caught Nia off guard. The faces. She thought of her brother, lost too soon to a system that didn't care. The memories of her family brought tears to her eyes. We're fighting for everyone who has suffered, everyone who has felt afraid, she whispered, though she knew everyone could hear her. An eerie silence followed, hanging like a heavy mist before the storm. The visible strain on the officers' faces deepened, they were not controlling this narrative anymore. Let us show them our strength, our true humanity, and let it shine, Nia called out, tears of hope mixing with raindrops. We're not just victims. We are survivors. The crowd rallied again, voices rising, fists pumping. A collective roar filled the space like thunder. The officers hesitated, caught in the tumultuous swell of emotion and action. It was then that Nia saw something in the officer standing at the forefront. A flicker of doubt crossed his face, a fleeting thought that maybe, just maybe, they weren't the enemy. Whatever happens, we're ready. Marcus called out, voice steady. His resolve was a spark, igniting the others around him. Nia took a final glance at the officer, who now stood on the edge of a decision, one that could shift the whole landscape of their fight. In that charged moment, as emotions and rain collided, it became palpable. Would they break through the barrier? Would they forge a new path together? The words left her lips before she could swallow them back. This is just the beginning, isn't it? As she said it, an unspoken tension built, waiting for the response that could change everything. Would the officers stand down or push back? Her heart raced with anticipation. What awaited them beyond that looming choice? A deep breath echoed through the crowd as all eyes were on the officer, the weight of Nia's words pressing heavily in the charged air. Just for a moment, it felt like time had stopped. The world around them blurred into insignificance as everyone focused on that singular decision, the officer's next move. Hesitation. Confusion. Was it transforming into understanding? I need you to step aside, the officer barked, but his voice was softer now, almost pleading. It was clear he was struggling, torn between the demands of his role and the truth of what he felt. Nia noticed how his shoulders had sunk slightly, the rigidness of authority faltering beneath the pressure of humanity. Sophie stepped even closer, eyes flashing with intensity. "We are not moving until we are heard," she said, her voice carrying a weight of resolution. "You can't ignore us forever." The crowd surged forward like a living thing, breathing collectively with shared hope and fear. The air crackled with energy as every heartbeat sank to the rallying cry. "We are here. We are here." They shouted, a powerful symphony rising against the low rumble of thunder in the distance. "What do you want?" the officer asked again, this time it sounded more like an invitation than a command. "Compassion," Marcus yelled, voice booming. "Empathy. We want to be seen, truly seen." His arms opened wide, as if embracing the moment, urging the officer to step into their world. In that instant, Nia felt a tightening in her throat. She too wanted that compassion, not just for herself but for her brother, her family, and everyone whose story had been silenced. She opened her mouth, but instead of another chant, she let out the truth buried deep within her. "I want my brother back," she said, voice breaking. "They took him from us. No one should suffer alone." A ripple passed through the crowd, an audible shudder of shared experiences. Pain and loss echoed in the hearts of everyone present. Tears streamed down Nia's cheeks as the crowd murmured their own stories, each voice adding to the chorus of heartache, weaving a tapestry of resilience. The officer flinched, visibly affected by her words. His lips tightened, and his eyes darted to his fellow officers, searching for backup but finding only uncertainty. Nia could see it, their armor was cracking. "Look around," Sophie urged, gesturing to the faces in the crowd, illuminated by dim streetlights and the fading daylight. "These are people who care. These are lives worth fighting for." The officer stood at the crossroads, vulnerability and authority colliding within him. Fear warred with a growing recognition that this wasn't just a protest. It was a plea for connection and understanding. Life floated in the daring space between them. "Listen to them," another officer said, stepping forward, clearly moved by the emotional swell. "Maybe it's time to let humanity guide us." The tension shifted slightly, and murmurs spread through the crowd. Could they really be on the verge of something remarkable? But just as hope began to thread its way through the air, another loud voice cut through this one, sharp and firm. "You don't have the right to hold us here. Clear the streets." It was the head officer, returning to his previously commanding tone, seemingly oblivious to the shift happening just feet away. Gasps erupted from the crowd, like air leaving a balloon. Nia's stomach dropped. No. Not now. Not after everything they had built. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Where unity had sparked, division threatened to tear it apart again. The rain began to pour down harder, soaking them as if to wash away the pain and release hope once more. "Do we stand?" Marcus shouted, raising his fist to the sky. "Together? Or do we falter?" Nia's heart thundered. It was a call to arms, a choice presented: stay strong or let it slip away. The choice resonated through her as she turned to face the uncertain future. "Together," she echoed, as the crowd shouted back, a renewed vigor flooding the space. And there it was, the power of a choice. Nia could feel it surge through her like electricity, hope igniting again in the face of despair. But with the chaos of the storm echoing around them, what would that choice mean? What lay ahead in this tumultuous journey? As the energy crackled anew, everything seemed possible if only they could hold on just a little longer. How much further could they push against the storm? The rain pounded down, soaking their skin and mixing with the sweat of determination. Nia stood firm, heart racing, surrounded by the pulsating energy of countless bodies ready to stand as one. "Together," she shouted again, the words ringing out like a war cry. The crowd repeated it, voices merging into one voice that spoke of resilience and strength. They were standing at a precipice, trembling but unyielding. The officer faltered, visibly shaken. For a moment, doubt flickered across his face. Nia seized this opportunity, every bit of courage flowing through her. We are not just a problem for you to solve. We're real people, with real stories. She cried, taking a bold step forward, pushing through the sea of bodies. The rain dripped down her face, mingling with the emotions that surged within her. Memories of her brother flooded her mind. Every shout, every chant was for him, for everyone lost. She felt a fire in her heart, igniting hope. This is about our families, our lives. We need change, and we are asking for it together. The crowd roared back, a wave of agreement crashing down around her. It was beautiful, a collective force, thunder carried by solidarity. The officer's resolve continued to waver, his grip on authority trembling under the weight of their collective humanity. What do you need? He finally asked, voice low but sincere. Nia felt the collective gasp ripple through the crowd. It was happening, this was their moment. We need accountability, she said firmly. We need policies that protect us, that promote health in our communities. We need our stories to matter. As if on cue, another officer shifted uncomfortably, nodding in reluctant agreement. The heaviness in the air felt lighter, possibility shaping itself before their eyes. Power transcended traditional hierarchies, and for the first time, they were seen not as a disturbance, but as a community demanding change. Let us help you. Sophie called out, her voice unwavering. We have ideas. We have skin in this game. Together, we can reshape how we're treated. The rain began to slow, the storm's intensity ebbing away slowly, almost sympathetically. As the officers shared nervous glances, Marcus stepped forward, pointing toward the crowd. We ask you to stand with us, to come down from your towers of authority. Help us mend the wounds instead of just managing them. Nia could feel the tension in the air change, as if the world tilted slightly toward hope. The officers stood on the threshold of change, and the crowd was right there with them, hearts open and ready. Please, Nia pleaded, her voice softer now, let this be a new beginning, where we forge paths together. Together. The silence stretched thin, filled with the sound of falling rain and racing hearts. Finally, the first officer nodded. Let us talk. Let us actually do this. Roaring cheers erupted from the crowd, joy spilling over into laughter and relief. Happiness lit their faces, merging the depths of emotion with the vibrant promise of tomorrow. We did it. Nia cried, tears filling her eyes, radiating warmth through her heart. She turned to Marcus, who was grinning at her, the fear on his face replaced by pride. He wrapped her in a strong embrace, whispering, You led them. You were incredible. In that moment, the storm finally broke. Light pierced through the clouds, illuminating the path ahead. Together, they turned toward the crowd, united in purpose and understanding. The echoes of the past were still there, woven into their stories. But from this day onward, they would not stand alone. Nia basked in the brilliance of optimism as she stood hand in hand with her community. They had shifted power dynamics, had transformed fear into fierce love. A new battle awaited, but now they would face it side by side, nestled in a burgeoning family of resilient souls. Together, they whispered, reminding one another of what was most important. And as they stepped forward into this new dawn, Nia felt something profound settle in her heart, a promise for a brighter tomorrow, one they would cultivate together. Hope may have felt fragile at times, but in unity, it blossomed into something beautiful, something they would build upon every day. That if you felt inspired by this story, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for our channel, so don't wait not even one more second. Hit that like button to fuel the algorithm and help elevate our message to more incredible people. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and be part of a community that stands together. Leave us a comment about your reactions and feelings on this powerful ending. It means the world to us.